This is KUGAN CASSIUS live from London. We're at the TKO gym here in Canning Town. Announcement of Matt Skelton versus John McDermott for the English heavyweight title. With me, I've got promoter Frank Maloney. Frank, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Just getting back into action again now after the setback in Liverpool on February the 23rd. But life goes on, and heavyweight boxing keeps rolling over.
Now, obviously, Matt Skelton and John McDermott, two fighters you're very, very familiar with, and in regards to David Price, because the last two fights before that, or Tam Sexton in between, but David's faced them. But what's left for these two guys? Matt Skelton, 46 years old. John McDermott tagged the unluckiest heavyweight because he has been robbed of some decisions. I mean, I've been at fights where he's been robbed of decisions, but where can these two guys go?
Well, heavyweights, you can't write heavyweights off. I mean, listen, everyone's writing Tony Thompson off the other week, saying that he was 42 and too old to do something. He came in and caused the biggest upset since Lennox Lewis lost to Hasim Rahman in South Africa, or Lennox Lewis lost to Oliver McCall at Wembley in 1994. You never write heavyweight off. A heavyweight's career is never over until he decides to hang up his gloves, because one punch can change the whole heavyweight division. If John McDermott was given that right decision the night Dick Turpin without a mask robbed him, we would the whole heavyweight scene would be different in Britain. But it wasn't. So you just come back and you just keep going. The winner of this can fight for the British title when David Price moves on and vacates it. I'm not sure we would never be able to sell a rematch, but you could. They would fight for the vacant title, I believe.
Obviously, John McDermott is. I mean, they've always said in every interview he's ever done that his aspiration was to win that British title. And a guy like John McDermott should have probably won it by now, shouldn't he?
Yeah, John's a very talented boxer. My belief. I've worked a lot with John. I worked a lot with Matt Skelton. I first saw Matt Skelton as a raw novice in my brother's gym in the Old Kent Road, and I looked at him and shook my head and said, "This guy will never make it." How wrong did he prove me? He won the British, the Commonwealth, the European, and fought for a world title. John McDermott, I tried to sign from day one. He went with Frank Warren. Eventually, he came to me. And, he's just one of those unlucky fighters. He's one of those fighters who defeats himself up here before he even gets in the ring. People talk about he eats burgers, he does this, he does that, he doesn't train proper. I've been in training camp. John McDermott trains as hard as any other fighter. He's just got a Larry Holmes type body, He hasn't got body beautifuls, and he'll always have that. But if he could believe in himself, his body shape wouldn't be a problem to his boxing. I believe he's got one of the best jabs in boxing, and if he gets it right on the night, he can give anyone trouble and beat anybody.
This show next week on the 15th of March at your call, is this a link? Is this a half and half thing with you and Loaded TV? Is it more Loaded TV? Is it more you? How's it working?
Well, Loaded are sort of more and more coming into boxing. We put the shows together for them, and they do the shows, so we're hoping to sort of change the face of boxing and sign the fighters direct into Loaded TV as we sort out our fighters. We're looking at some talented youngsters in the amateurs, and hopefully over the next month or so we'll be making a few names. Some promoters have got to stay in the game because it's getting very hard out there at the moment. It's there's a lot happening in boxing, and a lot of things happening for the wrong reasons and not for the good of boxing.
Where do you think your promotional company stands in boxing at the moment?
Oh, we're in the second division. I'm quite happy to be where I am. I'm not looking to rule the world or control the world. I've always said from day one, even when I, was at the top of the pile with Lennox Lewis, give me a piece of a cake instead of the whole cake. If you try to take the whole cake, you're going to crumble in the end and eventually fall off. It's happened to everybody. Go over the years and look at the histories of boxing. I'm one of these guys who just likes to stay there. I'm a steady Eddie.
You've said on one of our interviews before, obviously David Price is the ace in your pack, and you've never shied away from that fact. Away from David Price, is there a plan B as regards to Frank Maloney Promotions?
Yeah, to retire as quick as possible. Yeah, I've got some good young fighters. I'm because of the current market and the current situation, I'm not rushing out there to sign fighters. I'm looking at certain fighters. I will pick and choose who I want to sign. I really want to sign a young fighter that I can build. I love building fighters. That's why I say I'm happy. I'm the David Moyes of boxing. I'm not the Mourinho of boxing. Just give me a little fighter, let me build him slowly and steady, and let me enjoy that. I think I've got a few more years to go. And I've got a good team around me in James Russell, with Mark Harnell. I've got my daughter now in the company, who's sort of organising a lot of the paperwork and all that stuff. So we are getting organised. We've taken on new accountants, you know. So we will be there for a little bit longer.
Do you feel as though there's a power struggle going on behind the scenes in boxing at the moment, Frank?
I think there's I'm not so much a power struggle, maybe a war, maybe there's a war going on out there. Is it a battle of egos? I don't know. I actually do not even worry about the other promoters. Frank Warren, Eddie Hearns, whoever else is out there, they can fight all they like. I'll do what Frank Maloney's going to do. I've been doing it for over 25 years now. I'm not going to stop the way I work. You know, I've been written off so many times, and I've come back. I read Twitter because you now have to be a modern day promoter, as Eddie Hearn says. So I read Twitter and I use it when I need to be, and I read what people put on. Then I read the forums, you know, and I think to myself, do you know what? These guys out here, they've got no idea of the real world. Listen, there's a recession out there. There's a major recession out there, and boxing is not recession proof. You know, it has hit boxing, and boxers have to learn that. The fans have to learn that, and us promoters have to adjust. You know, we have to renegotiate contracts, redo certain things. Some fighters don't like it. You know, there are a lot of people in boxing who can talk a great fight, but have never had to put their hands in their pockets or had to finance a show or pay it. But they're quite good at telling us promoters what we should pay their fighters. You know, if they had to put their hands in their pockets, it would be a completely different game out there.
All right, Frank. Well, listen, thank you very much for talking to iFILM London. I know you love talking to iFILM London. You do, don't you? I
do. I enjoy it. You know, your message gets across to people, and you're very well viewed. You know, and I'm sure the recession is hitting you as well. You know, I'm sure you're not recession proof, are you?
We're certainly not recession proof. Even when it's not a recession, and we're in the recession. If you understand what I mean.
I know that feeling.
But no, listen, we'll be there at your call next week. It's an intriguing matchup. Like I said, these guys are. I mean, some people, Frank, you know what some people say, Matt Skelton, John McDermott, what are they fighting, you know. But listen, if they're getting up in the morning with the aspiration to still box on and they're fit and healthy, why not?
Hey, Ryan Giggs is still playing football. You know, Tony Thompson is still boxing. You know, so listen, look, if you look at the heavyweight scene in America, the majority of heavyweights in America are all over 40, you know. So what can you tell someone they shouldn't go to work if that's what they want to do? As long as they're not getting hurt, as long as they're not medically unfit, why should they not be given the opportunity to fight? And you know what? This show is selling. So, heavyweights, no matter what they are, catch the imagination. I'd like to do a veteran heavyweight scene, throw all the old heavyweights in together, and let's see what happens. They done one the other week called Prize Fighter, didn't they? The average age there was 38. And someone reinvented themselves again, and they're back in the picture, you know. I take my hat off to Audley Harrison. He is the greatest crossover star boxing's got. If only he won the world title, boxing would be so big.
If you can promote at 85 years old, Frank, there's hope for us all.
85? I'm only 49, chaps.
Frank, sorry, just a final question. Has there been any talk so far about a possible rematch with Tony Thompson regarding David Price?
I would just say we are working on certain things. We have two options that we are looking at, and hopefully we'll be making an announcement within the next 10 days.
All right, well, we'll look forward to the press release then. All right, unless Frank's got anything to say. Frank, you're dressed like a 21-year-old today, by the way.
I'm dressed like Richard Branson. He's my hero.
You are. This is what all the 21-year-olds are wearing, this blazer, jean, trainer look.
That's why I'm never going to get old, am I? You know, I just want to be laid in a box at ringside, plop over at the ringside, say, he's finally gone, the old git. Let's just get him out in a box now. Bye-bye, fans and Twitter.
All right, this is KUGAN CASSIUS with Frank Maloney here for iFILM London here at the TKO gym. Thank you very much.